Ever since I actually last covered Nisha Labyrinth's video and her lore, there's another character that we can actually look at who actually has a much complex lore, but although his intention is simple, however, he wasn't able to reach his goal because of the fact on how time and space works. And for today's lore video today, we're actually going to go look over Mad Paradox and the road that he actually had to take to get where he is right now that we see him today. Before we start the video, if you actually want to know any lore regarding any characters or even the stage or even the story itself too, you can actually request it down below in the comments section, and then when I actually have time, I will probably make another video like these like I did for Nisha Labyrinth and Mad Paradoxes too. So with that out of the way, we will start with the lore of Mad Paradox. So in this third path that I decided to take, he actually decided to research on how to time travel back in order to reverse some of the miserable experiences that he actually had to go through when he was a child. And with his research, he actually does hope to the fact that when his experiment does succeed, he will actually revert the time when his family actually died. Now I actually will be reading you the background information regarding Time Tracer and also his purpose with his class. The temporarily displaced ad tries to find a way back to his own time, with the hope of changing the events that led to his misery. Finally, it's finally complete. With great effort, he finally figures out the time travel equation to implement it to his dynamos. He only needs the right material, a unique material he managed to steal from the Pongos in Alteria. Ah, you can't take that, Pong. That is important research material, Pong. Now the Time Tracer, capable of moving through time and space, Ad directs his attention to finding an energy source that will let him to make more accurate time-space calculations for his ultimate journey home. From the background lore itself, Ad already succeeded on how to manipulate time and space to the point that he was able to travel back in time just to meet his goal of reverting his family's death. However, in order to do that, Ad decides to steal the Pongo's most precious research material that they've been researching for quite some time, and this ultimately led him to the way he is right now as Time Tracer. And as you can probably see in the artwork, he's actually covering one of his eyes, and this could possibly reference the consequences of traveling through time. And although you can't actually see on the character themselves, but the actual webcomic themselves actually show what his eye currently looks like underneath that eye patch, and you can probably see the point of that Ad's left sclera is actually all black, while Diabolic Esper, however, both of his eyes actually is completely black at this stage. And now we can actually progress to his second class. In this case, it's going to be Diabolic Esper, and you can actually see his current status of a mad scientist that's been gone wrong, and the actual background will actually give you all the information needed regarding his class and his current status right now. What? My calculations can't be wrong. They can't be. Ad completes the dynamo upgrade using the pure L energy, and with it takes a great leap back in time, but what awaits him is in the past era is far from the world he once knew. He arrives in an alternate reality where his entire family was not slain. However, he is surprised to find a young man who appears to be Ad in this alternative reality, and he leads a happy and promising life. Calculating discrepancy rate of passing of using inputted data. Rate 42.72%. Due to the high discrepancy rate, it's hard to conclude that this is the same world. Even with the recalculations and many more attempts to go back to his own reality, Ad keeps arriving in this other world. As his frustration grew, so does his insanity that has consumed him. All of my effort and time ended up being so worthless, and I was never been rewarded. In that case, I'll destroy this damn world. Ad is ultimately pushed back to the brink. Now possessing the supernatural powers to distort time, space, and gravity, it's only a matter of time before he exploits the massive abilities he has acquired to bring this world to its dreadful end. So overall, this background actually brings the concept of once the past has already been taken place, you can't actually go back and change it again. And there's a lot of different philosophies out there regarding time traveling, but most of them are just theories, as because there's no way to test them out and actually give legitimate results regarding answering these two ultimate questions regarding time traveling. One, is time traveling even possible? And two, if you were to go back in the past, is it possible to change history, and will it actually impact towards the future that he actually came by before? And where Ad stands right now, he wasn't able to achieve where he wanted to because he can't actually bend the laws in time, and he can't go back where he came from, and this ultimately results to Ad coming back to his alternate reality where he actually is living a much happier life than he is right now, and also his parents, and for the most part, is still alive at this time frame, and even he was able to achieve the result of going back in time, he wasn't able to, however, revert the death of his family and all the tragic misery that he actually had to been through when he was a child. And also ultimately led to the point that all of his effort was in vain and he was constantly frustrated with the fact he wasn't able to achieve his results. However, this doesn't actually mean that he actually gave up on his research. He actually does decide to continue with the experiment and try to find a way just to go back to the time that he actually wanted to. And with all these continued efforts, this actually led him to the very last class that the third path has to offer for Ad, and this class is called Mad Paradox. And for the official background, it says, Ad is a demon of paradox, stuck in the endless contradictions of time and space. He can destroy time and space with his paranormal powers that far exceed the power of technology and science. When Ad realized that it is impossible to return to the exact past that he hails from, he loses his mind from despair and aimlessly travels around time and space, leaving endless destruction in his path. Perhaps it was fatal side effect of his aimlessly traveling between different parallel universes, but Ad feels that his body has reached its limit. Before his body completely disintegrates, he attempts one final experiment, a forbidden experiment that will deconstruct him to a molecular level, then tie his very being to the essence of time and space. With this, I'll be back in the cycle of time. With the experiment ending in a success, Ad becomes a separate entity existing independently from the natural progress of time. The only thing that remains is his obsessive desire to return to the only past in which he felt happiness. It doesn't matter what form I take, as long as I can go back to you, mother. At this current stage of where Mad Paradox stands at as of right now, Ad is no longer a physical being, but instead he is now an enigma in time and space with fluctuating appearances, explaining his childlike default appearances. And you can probably see around his body, there's actually parts of it that started chipping away, and this is actually because that his actual body is actually reaching a limit in terms of time traveling. As a way to preserve his actual body itself, he actually had to disintegrate his actual body and actually split it amongst the time and space where he actually traveled through. And then whenever he actually wants to put his actual body together, all you have to do in game is actually awaken, and his actual full appearance actually does reveal to the point that his hair is actually almost outgrown. Both of his eyes actually came back as black as he actually did when he was Mad Paradox, and majority of his body actually is disintegrating, and this actually shows his utmost current status on where he is in terms in time and space. And assuming where Mad Paradox stands right now, he's willing to keep on experimenting on the point that he will actually reach the point where he came from and actually change the future, and he actually acknowledges the risk of doing so with all of his body desire to disintegrate over time, and either he might be successful or he might not be successful. That actually is up to the reader or us to decipher if he's actually successful or not. So hopefully you actually enjoyed this lore of Mad Paradox and his story where he actually came from, and if you want more videos like these, you can always give a like and drop down comments down below. And as always, Kong Hei Fa Choi, but in this case I would say Mandarin, 新年快乐.